Hey everybody, Doug8798 here. This is my salute of Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection, which was released I think in 2008 for the which was released. Hold on, let me get the date right here. Which was released in 2009, not 8, 2009 for the Xbox 360. Well, anyway, brief history. My Sega Genesis broke 6 years ago. The circuit went bad. It was fried by dust. So whenever I turn on the Sega Genesis, all you see is a blank screen, which looks like you turned off the television. So ever since then, I've been trying to find ROMs of all my classic Sega Genesis games on using Ultramame or free online games or Complication series released for the PlayStation 2, like the Sega Genesis Ultimate Collection, which was the original version before they made Sonic's Genesis Ultimate Collection for the Xbox 360 and PS3. I decided to get a 7th generation console and get these games because this Complication had more video games, and I'm glad I purchased it because I've just been playing these games like crazy. It feels real good to be reunited with all these games I grew up with and to become familiar with some new ones I never heard of. Like I'm gonna talk about some of the games in this Complication. Of course, you got the popular ones, Altered Beast, the ones I'm familiar with: Altered Beast, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and Shinobi 3, and of course Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3D Blast, and Sonic Spinball. These are all the games I'm for the most part familiar with, and I'm going to be talking about all these games individually. All these games, the ones I'm more familiar with individually. Then you got some new ones I've never heard of that are new to me, like Vector Man, Alex the Kid, who I've heard so much about. He was the original mascot of Sega before being replaced by Sonic. You got Columns, another game I'm familiar with. I said Shinobi 3. I'm actually familiar with the sequel, Revenge of the Shinobi. I had no idea this game was a franchise. There was the original Shinobi arcade game, which is an unlockable extra on here. Then of course there was Shinobi 3. I'm familiar with the second, Revenge of Shinobi, and I'm disappointed that it wasn't here. I heard it wasn't here because Sega had to make room. Sega didn't have enough room. They included in this Complication. They should have made a second Complication, or had Revenge of Shinobi in unlockables as an unlockable achievement award. Then of course, speaking of unlockable achievement awards, speaking of games I never heard of, I didn't know Golden Axe was a franchise. I thought there was just one game. I didn't know there were two others, and an arcade RPG video game called Golden Axe Warrior. There's even a Golden Axe fighting game that I've heard so much about. Then of course there's Streets of Rage series. Once again, I knew there was one Streets of Rage. I know there were two Streets of Rage. There were 3 Streets of Rage video games. There were 2 sequels to the Streets of Rage series. It was good to see that. Then of course Altered Beast. I knew there was a Sega Genesis port of the Altered Beast, and I knew there was a NES version released only in Japan. I played a ROM of this, an NES version released in Japan, but I didn't know there was an arcade version of Altered Beast, which has better animations, and unlimited continues. So yeah, that's in the unlockable extras, and like I say, you got like a lot of games here. Like of course I mentioned all the games I mentioned. There's like I said, Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, Alien Storm, Altered Beast, Beyond Oasis, The Story of Thor, Bonanza Brothers, Columns, Comic Zones, Cap Attack, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Dynamite, Hetty, Eco the Dolphin, Eco, The Ties of Time, East-SWAT, Sea Under Siege, Fatal Labyrinth, Flicky, Game Ground, Golden Axe 1, 2, 3, Kid Chameleon, Phantasy Star 2, Phantasy Star 3, Phantasy Star 4, Rise Star, Shining Force, The Legacy of the Great Intention, Shining Force 2, The Ancient Steel, Shining in the Darkness. Of course, I mentioned Shinobi 3, Return of Masters, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic 3, Sonic 3D Blast, and Sonic Spinball, Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, Super Thunder Blade, a helicopter game, and of course Vector Man 1 and 2. And of course in the unlockables, you got Shinobi Arcade, the original one, Alter Beast, Alien Syndrome, Congo Bongo, Fantasy Zone, Golden Axe Warrior, Phantasy Star, Space Carrier, and Zaxxon. So like I said, lots of awesome video games. Lots of awesome video games in this collection. I unlocked Alter Beast Arcade by completing the first and I think it was making it to the third level, I think, and I completed I unlocked Shinobi 3 by I unlocked Shinobi Arcade by beating the first level of Shinobi 3 without using continues. But like I said, this is an awesome collection. Going to be talking about all these games, and it feels good to be reunited with all of these games I grew up with. The only disappointment I have is that, once again, there's not a second complication, including the other Shinobi games that they miss, and including Eternal Champions, which was a Sega Genesis exclusive fighting game in the early 90s, which is criminally underrated because it's always left out of these Sega complications, and it was a hugely popular game it was one of the more popular Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat clones back in the day, but Sega abandoned it to promote Virtua Fighter, which I like Virtua Fighter, but that's nowhere near as good as Eternal Champions, man. And I'm going to be talking more about that in a salute and rant on Sega, but right now, this right here was an awesome complication series, and like I said, it feels good to be reunited with all of these video games again. Alright, Doug out.